Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Susan Valakis, and I'm the Training Development Coordinator at NOW, and as such, I bring you these webinars on the third Thursday of each month. If you've missed any of them, you can find replays on our website, nowfoods.com/webinars, or on our NOW YouTube channel. If you have any questions during the webinar, please use the chat bubble on your screen to submit your questions, and we will respond to you with an answer by email. Now, you may or may not know that NOW brings about 50 new products to market every year, everything from cutting-edge new products to new sizes and new potencies, and all of this helps us to support our mission to empower healthier living. Today's presentation will run about 30 minutes, and it will be presented by one of NOW's very own, Jim Golick. Jim is a certified and licensed dietitian nutritionist in Illinois. He's been in the industry for over 40 years and has a long history with NOW Foods in retail management, nutrition counseling, as well as in our corporate environment. He's currently part of the product information team at NOW, where he answers questions and shares his vast knowledge with retailers, consumers, and practitioners from all around the world. So with that, please join me in welcoming Jim Golick. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Sue. Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to be talking about seasonal immune health from A to Zinc. And I have Neil Levin, our Director of Nutrition, to thank for many of the slides that he presented for this. And let's get started. So our mission statement at NOW has been to provide value in products and services that empower people to lead healthier lives. And part of that value, besides in products, is also free trainings, such as what we're doing here to help educate folks to all the great things they can do to help them lead healthier lives. I'm very proud to be part of NOW for many years in that regard. So we're going to start with an overview a little bit later on in the immune system and the various branches of the immune system, just to kind of give us an overview. But before we get into the innate and adaptive immunity aspects, we should talk about some of the things that most of us probably are already aware of. Stress affects our immune system. And when we are stressed out, we're more likely to come down with something. So whatever we can do to be proactive in helping to manage our stress and our sleep, and they go hand in hand quite often, is an important part of helping overall immunity. And it's also something some people may not be aware of, is that excess sugar also dramatically weakens the white blood cell defenses and be able to engulf and destroy bacteria and other organisms. So cut down on that sugar, eliminate it as much as possible, and you can also help your immune system. Then we're also going to be talking about various nutrients for immune support, and we'll also be covering probiotics and colostrum and other compounds like large arabinogalactans and botanicals such as Andrographis paniculata, mushrooms and astragalus. And then we'll be wrapping up with the discussion of epicor, yeast fermentate, which is one of my particular favorites that I'll talk about towards the end. And then we'll wrap up with quercetin and bromelain. So let's start off with the basic understanding of immunology. We have two major branches of our immune system: innate immunity, which we acquire from birth, and it is ready to respond rapidly to microorganisms that may happen on a regular basis. But when the innate immunity is finished, when our immune system is finished fending off an invader, it loses its memory. So there's no immunologic memory of what happened. So it starts all over again with a clean slate when something happens later on. Now, the adaptive immunity is more specific. Antigens, which are compounds that present themselves to a cell, it is involved that, and then the immune system that's adaptive is dependent upon those antigens being presented to the immune system. Say, hey, you recognize this criminal? we've got to get in there and capture, defend, and attack and destroy. So with the adaptive immunity, there's a lag time between exposure and the maximal response, and that could take days or even weeks, which is why sometimes when we get some really bad thing going on with our immune system, it doesn't always just clear up in a few days. It can take quite a while. However, the adaptive immunity does result in immunologic memory. So when we encounter that foreign invader again in the future, we'll be ready to get the pieces of the puzzle together to better defend ourselves. So this is the concept behind vaccines. We're not going to be debating the pros and cons of vaccines today. People have strong feelings on both sides of the fence in that regard and in the middle. So, but it's just an understanding of where that fits into the puzzle in that regard. So here's a pictorial on the branches of the immune system. The various white blood cells are at the top, the neutrophils, monocytes, mast cells, macrophages, dendritic cells, B cells, and T cells. We're not going to cover those in any great detail, but I want to point out to you at the bottom, the innate immunity on the left, and the various ways that our immune system can have, kind of like a Swiss Army knife of defenses to use against invaders, including inflammation. Well, obviously inflammation when we're feeling under the weather, that's part of that process, but it is a necessary and helpful process because our body produces massively larger amounts of white blood cells when we're in that temporary acute inflammatory state. What we want to happen is for that to resolve itself and go back to baseline eventually, so we don't have things lingering in that inflammatory response. So adaptive immunity again involves antibody response and involves T cells and B cells, which we'll be talking about in a moment. Another pictorial on the immune system, again at the top, immunity, the two branches, innate and adaptive. The innate on the left, always on. And there are barriers that we have, our epithelium, which is our skin, and our internal mucous membranes of our mouth, throat, nose, and intestinal system as well. So what involves the mucosa. Digestive enzymes, having a good stomach pH, stomach hydrochloric acid in our stomach, which is the way it's supposed to be, does help to defend us against foreign invaders by helping to kind of fry them before they ever leave the stomach and get into our small intestine, large intestine, where they can do more havoc. And of course, the normal flora, our probiotic makeup, our microbiome is also part of that immune defenses, which we'll be covering a little bit more later on. So over on the right, we have, again, lymphocytes, which we'll cover in a little bit more in another slide in a moment, on T cells and B cells and how they create antibodies that help to defend us as well. So the importance of host nutrition is to optimize our immune response and prevent viral mutations, which could increase pathogenicity. So an ounce of prevention, you know the rest. So malnutrition has long been associated with increased susceptibility to infections, such as when people have severe measles infections. If they have a vitamin A deficiency, it leads to a higher rate of mortality. Next, we're going to talk about nutrients and ingredients that support the competence of the immune system. So an optimally functioning immune system is linked to having enough nutrients, micronutrients of various kinds. If we have severe deficiencies of these, we can have a weakened immune response and more vulnerable to infections. Notably, vitamins A, C, E, and the B complex, as well as zinc and selenium, iron, and copper are all important in optimizing our immune defenses. So there's another quote from a study. The data show that vitamins A, B6, B12, C, D, E, and folate, trace elements including zinc, iron, selenium, magnesium, and copper, and omega-3 fatty acids play important complementary roles in supporting the immune system. So inadequate intake of these nutrients is quite widespread. And one of those mentioned already is selenium. When mice deficient in selenium are exposed to Coxsackie and influenza virus and even others, they can become more susceptible. So shows the importance of selenium in our diet to help. So also what might be a mild strain of influenza, if one is deficient in a mouse anyway, deficient in selenium, they can develop more severe pneumonitis in the lungs when infected with something that would normally do that. Now, again, as we've already covered in the last few slides, vitamin C, D, and zinc, among others, are necessary for proper immune functions, and these, when deficient, can increase our susceptibility. So others, ingredients such as botanicals and probiotics, do not have essential roles in the body, but they might affect immune function, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. And we're going to cover that later on. So key supporting nutrients, which we've already covered, vitamin A. Well, vitamin A is involved in a number of things in the body, but especially healthy mucous membranes. Again, our nose, our mouth, our throat, our lungs, our digestive system, among others, our white blood cells, and that involves the immune response. Vitamin C is certainly, many people, most of us are aware of, is involved in healthy immune support, among many other things. And zinc, which helps to support thymus function, which we're going to cover a little bit more in detail in a moment, and aids the immune response. So zinc also helps to transport vitamin A in the blood because it has a retinol binding protein component in that. And we've already covered selenium, how it can influence both sides of the immune side of the fence, being T cell lymphocytes, on the adaptive immune system in that regard. So if we're deficient in selenium, again, we can have a decreased production of T lymphocytes, in particular in response to organisms. Now the thymus gland, many of us are aware of that. It's in our chest, upper chest area. It's larger by proportion in children and is one of the major things that helps children with their immune defenses. And it is known to shrink when we reach adulthood. And some studies have shown that in medical thinking of past decades have indicated that the thymus doesn't do much when you're an adult. But more recent medical investigations have concluded that yes, indeed, the thymus is still important gland to support and involved in immune response even in our adult years. Now, the neat thing about this is that when stem cells are made in our bone marrow, they can be converted into a number of other cells, including B cells and T cells. Well, T cells get its names from the thymus. So T cells then travel to the spleen and the lymph nodes. I think of the thymus gland as like the immune boot camp for these stem cells, especially the T cells, of course, helping them to become fighting soldiers in the battle. Vitamin D, as many people already know, is involved in immunity, but what many people may not know is that when we take in vitamin D, either in a supplement or through the sunlight hitting on our skin, it is in an inactive state. So it has to be converted into active form, first in the liver and then in the kidneys before it can be activated and work in that regard, helping not only with calcium and phosphorus metabolism, but also in immune defenses. So some people may see this on a blood test. So it is an immune system modulator. Now, interestingly, it can help prevent excessive expression of cytokines. Cytokines are chemical messengers that can activate the immune system, but sometimes that can be a bit overdone, and that could lead to feeling maybe a little worse than we might normally want to feel in that regard. And again, vitamin D can help the immune system with enhancing some of those defenses, like the oxidative burst, kind of helping it blow up a cell when macrophages encounter a foreign invader. So it does help to stimulate peptides and other white blood cells, neutrophils, and monocytes, and natural killer cells, also known for short as NK cells, that don't require direct activation by the immune system. They can get in there and start to go to work without much guidance. So these all play a major role in predicting lungs and other parts of our body from environmental factors. Now, one of the world's experts, Dr. Michael Golick, wrote a book a number of years ago called The Vitamin D Solution. And he says in the book, recommend to all my patients that they should take 2,000 to 3,000 IUs of vitamin D a day from dietary sources, sensible sun exposure, and supplements. I believe that it's important for women to take at least 2,000 IUs of vitamin D a day. And he also says there continues to be strong evidence that increasing vitamin D intake has other health benefits besides those for bone health. And certainly, I think we know that. From my perspective, he says there's no downside to increasing your vitamin D intake to levels I've recommended in the vitamin D solution, which is 1,000 IUs of vitamin D a day for children and 2,000 to 3,000 IUs a day of vitamin D for adults. So that's something worth paying attention to. Now, we do know that our gut microbiome is important for our overall health, but it can also help support healthy immune functions and antibody production, which we're going to cover in a bit. Now, the mouth and the respiratory microbiome is also important, and a healthy oral bacterial balance. We don't even think of this in our mouth necessarily, is the first line of defense against disruptive influences like stress and disease and aging and medications. So we're going to cover that in a moment. So we're talking now about products that provide specific immune support. Now, there is a beneficial form of strep bacteria called Streptococcus salivarius, a good guy. Bliss K12 is the brand name for it. And Bliss stands for bactericidin-like inhibitory substances, which is why it's been shortened to Bliss. So it functions not only in the digestive tract, but also in the ears, nose, and throat. So it's a unique, naturally occurring probiotic, and one of the most numerous ones in the oral cavity. And it's one of the first ones that children get when they are first inoculated, I guess you could say, from mom, and hopefully mom's breast milk. So when children are colonized, the Bliss K12, these cells migrate to the tonsils, adenoids, and the nasopharynx, and it helps to maintain normal oral defense functions. So we have a product called Oral Biotic, which is formulated with Bliss K12, and also can help on not only support ears, nose, and throat health, but may also help with freshen your breath when used regularly. And the lozenges are pleasant strawberry lozenges, and they taste so delicious. It's hard to just slowly dissolve them in your mouth because you want to chew them up. But if you look at the bottom of the page, it does indicate for adults and for children taking lozenges several times a day to dissolve it slowly and completely in the mouth and swallow. So it should be refrigerated to maintain the potency, and one does not have to take a bunch every day, but in times of acute need, that certainly could be quite helpful in that regard. Next, we're going to turn our attention to colostrum, which supports a healthy immune functions. Colostrum is the pre-milk fluid from a mammal to its young, whether it's a human, a cow, a pig, a whale, an elephant, all the mammalian species on the planet, colostrum is always the first thing that is produced for the and given to the young. So colostrum can help to enhance absorption of nutrients in the body. Can also help promote healthy gastrointestinal function. So we do have it available in capsule form as well as in a powdered form, and has a pleasant milk-like taste to it. There is a milk protein concentrate and non-fat dry milk as part of the ingredients in it. If one is dairy allergy, that's something to discuss with your doctor. One practitioner that felt that it was more important to have colostrum than to worry about a milk allergy, but again, it would depend on the person. So just a word of caution, and discuss it with your doctor, your allergist, if you need to. Now, along with the regular colostrum products, we also have a product called Super Colostrum, which contains other added ingredients. Besides the colostrum, we have Immune Enhancer, which is from the large tree, and they're arabinogalactans. Well, what the heck is that? Well, that's a fiber-rich prebiotic compound that supports a healthy immune system and helps promote the growth and activity of immune cells. Also have olive leaf extract in there, which we're going to talk about in more detail later on. But olive leaf extract has been used throughout the centuries in a bioactive compound. Astragalus is also in this formula. Now, astragalus is something that is a adaptogen, a botanical that helps our immune system to adapt and helps our body to adapt to stress, but it also does help immune support as well. Next, we have beta-1316 glucans. So for short, we'll call them beta-glucans. Now, these are carbohydrate compounds that are derived from grains. They're found in oats in particular, and barley and other grains, and in mushrooms, as well as in baker's and brewer's yeast. So these serve as prebiotics to help feed beneficial intestinal microbes that help our immune system. We have a couple products. We have the beta-13 glucan in a capsule form, 100 milligram, that is combined with maitake mushroom powder. Mushrooms, as we mentioned a moment ago, are also involved in helping and have glucans in them as well. And also have the extra strength 250 milligram that contains large arabinogalactans, the prebiotic fiber that can help. So one can take either one and hopefully have some benefit when they need it. So I did mention that we're going to cover olive leaf in greater detail. So olive leaves are really known for their high free radical scavenging power among the different parts of the olive tree. Throughout history, they've been used in making teas, but they've also been used in making food or with food. So there's a compound or an extract from olive leaf called oleuropein that has been subject of research. So it's quite powerful polyphenol that is found not just in the leaves, but in the skins of olives and the seeds as well. It can help with healthy respiratory functions and can help modulate the immune response in folks as well. We have a couple of different products, including olive leaf glycerite, which is alcohol-free. It has a base of vegetable glycerin and water, and the amount that we suggest would be 2 droppers full once or twice a day. We also have olive leaf extract, 500 milligram. That's a 6% oleuropein compound. Then we also have the extra strength olive leaf extract, standardized 18% oleuropein, combined with echinacea extract, is standardized for echinocosides, 4% of those, and widely popular for many years. People in the health food industry are very familiar, I think, with echinacea, and quite legendary, introduced to American settlers by Native Americans, and also known as purple coneflower, which is garden or ornamental flower, oftentimes during the summertime. Next, we have a quite popular product called Allibiotic CF. Contains elderberry extract, which we will be covering in greater detail. But in Europe, especially, elderberry has long been used as a tonic to maintain health and well-being. We covered olive leaf extract a moment ago. This formula also contains garlic extract, which has many health benefits most of us are aware of. It also has oregano oil, which can be helpful in maintaining healthy intestinal flora balance. And again, we have the large arabinogalactans in there as well, and a little rosemary oil. And this is enteric coated, that helps to prevent burping up of a garlic and oregano taste. That's an issue for some people. Next, we have a botanical that's been around in Asia and India for centuries called Andrographis paniculata. I just call them Andy for short. But it helps with modulating production of immune cells and cytokines, which I mentioned earlier. Cytokines are chemical messengers that stimulate the immune system to get out there and fight. And some of those compounds that are activated by cytokines would be interferon gamma and interleukin 2 and T cells in that regard. And we do offer it in a capsule form. It's standardized to 10% andrographolides, sorry about that, which can help support a healthy and balanced immune system in that regard. So we're going to turn our attention now to greater detail on the black elderberry, which that's what Sambucus nigra means. Sambucus elderberry, nigra meaning black. And it is a multi-purpose fruit, as I mentioned, widely used throughout Europe and for centuries. And it can help provide protection against oxidative stress. It contains naturally occurring not only vitamins A and C, but polyphenols and anthocyanins. The anthocyanins are the colorful pigments that give black elderberry its nice color. So these are potent free radical scavengers that help our body and our immune response in a variety of ways. Now we do have a number of products. One of them is the elderberry concentrate, 10-to-1, that is in a 500 milligram capsule. One could take several a day in that regard. Then we have a liquid, which is a 10-to-1 concentrate, which is tasty, and again in the base of vegetable glycerin. So that makes it taste a little sweeter and tasty in that regard. Then we have a kids elderberry liquid that tastes great. It also has a bit of zinc, 2.5 milligrams of zinc per 2 teaspoons added. So we have instructions on the left for shaking it well before using, and then take 2 teaspoons if you're adult, 1 to 3 times daily, and for children as well. So it can just be stored in a cool, dry place, does not have to be refrigerated in that regard. And we also have Eldermune. You don't have to be elderly to benefit from this. Elderberry is what the Eldermune refers to, but it's a 65-to-1 juice concentrate, which is developed by a unique process that helps preserve the polyphenols and the anthocyanins in it. And it contains sun fiber, which is from hydrolyzed guar gum, to help replace the fiber lost during the juicing process. But interestingly, the sun fiber is also a prebiotic fiber, which can be helpful in that regard. And last but not least, we also have Sambucus Zinc C lozenges, which are sugar-free and contain, again, zinc and elderberry as well, along with some vitamin C to help. So again, a lozenge that can be used by children and adults in that regard. And we also have a kids orange liquid echinacea, which is sugar-free and alcohol-free. and it comes in delicious orange vanilla-like flavor. And the amount to consider varies by the weight of the child. So over on the left, you see the recommended dosages depending on the weight of the child, 8, 16, and 24 drops. And for children under 1, consult a physician. So this is contains a full spectrum of the active compounds, including the echinosides that are known to be helpful in echinacea. Next up, we have Mushroom Immune Renew. We have 8 organic mushroom blend, each of them in equal amounts. And to that, we've also added astragalus root extract, 200 milligrams of that, which not only helps support a healthy immune system, but it's also a adaptogen, as I believe I had mentioned earlier. So good combination. So the mushroom polysaccharides that are part of this mushroom immune renew are beta-glucans, which we talked about earlier. So they've long been used throughout history, have also been scientifically studied for their ability to support a healthy immune system. We have a couple of options in that regard, a capsule version as well as a powdered version. The capsule version, 1 capsule 1 to 2 times a day, would be a total of 800 milligrams of the total mushroom and astragalus combination. If you were to double that on the left of the label, 200, 200, of course, doubled is 400 and 400. The reason I point that out is if you look at the teaspoon amount, we suggest a greater quantity. A teaspoon of that provides more than one would get in 1 or 2 capsules. So in that regard, we suggest a teaspoon once or twice a day, which would provide even more substantial amounts. Next, we're going to talk about Epicor. Now, this is an interesting compound. There was a company that had been making an animal fermented feed product for farmers and for the industry since World War II days. And right around late 90s, people made the observation that the factory workers that were exposed to this rarely took sick leave compared to the office workers. So they conducted a study looking at their health and their white blood cells, their immune system, and showed that their exposure to this fermented product was responsible for that. And compared to, for instance, the office workers that did not have exposure to this. So they did more research over a period of years to demonstrate that it was safe and efficacious for people. And after that, Epicor was born. So what is Epicor? Well, it's a fermentate derived from Saccharomyces cerevisiae yeast, which is the same yeast that we find in brewer's yeast and in baker's yeast. Yet the way they make it is rather unique. It's a proprietary fermentation process, and the compounds, the metabolites derived from this unique fermentation process magnify its effects. So it contains nutrients and polyphenols and sterols and phospholipids, but it's also a prebiotic, which can help to nourish the intestinal flora, and also a postbiotic to support the gut microbiome. Now, most people aren't familiar with the term postbiotic, but that is the metabolites remain in the system after things have been digested by our probiotics, and it can be found in fermented foods as well, like kefir and sauerkraut and kimchi. But our gut bacteria metabolites, postbiotic metabolites, include making some B vitamins in our gut, vitamin K and certain other compounds, peptides, and short chain fatty acids, which are part of our good healthy gut lining. So this has multiple roles to play in supporting our system in that regard. Now, there have been 7 clinical trials conducted with Epicor, and they've demonstrated that it has rapid immune system effects. So nice thing about Epicor also, it supports a balanced immune response by supporting beneficial immune system markers and works fast. Now, I'll tell you in a moment my experience with this, but let me finish up with talking about it, Epicor, in a moment. So when used on a daily basis, it can support the proper function of the immune system in a balanced way. Our product is called Epicor Plus Immunity. We have taken the Epicor and we've added additional compounds to it, vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, selenium, and olive leaf extract to make it even better. So our suggestion is 1 capsule daily with a meal. However, I'll tell you personally, it's not something I take or feel the need to take on a daily basis, but I always try to keep it on hand. And many times when I've taken it at the beginning stages of feeling run down, it nips it in the bud, and I never, I might later in the day think, oh, what was it that I had this morning? Well, it's gone away now. Sometimes it's that efficacious. Other times I might find that I need to take it once, maybe even twice a day in some cases to help. But it's something that I have grown to trust and believe in personally over the years. So next we're going to be talking about quercetin with bromelain. Now, quercetin is a non-citrus flavonoid that's a good free radical fighter, and bromelain is pineapple enzyme that can be helpful for supporting a healthy immune system, and very popular for seasonal issues like we have in spring, summer, and fall in particular. And we suggest taking 2 capsules 20 minutes before meals twice a day. And if you have a touchy stomach when you take it, you could just take it with food. The bromelain in particular is a 2400 GDU, that's gelatin digesting units, but that's a measure of the enzyme activity of bromelain, which is a very high amount in that regard. So this is a good formulation in that regard. And lastly, we have Resperol, which also contains quercetin and bromelain, but additional compounds to help respiratory support. Contains vitamin C and nettle extract. Also contains several B vitamins as well as licorice root that can help a healthy adrenals when they're under stress. So healthy adrenal stress response can be helped with licorice root. So it's a really nice combination in that regard. And there's the formula. It also contains some calcium and magnesium, zinc, pantothenic acid, which is also helpful for the body functions under stress, and some very nice formulation in that regard. So the suggestion is 3 tablets daily, preferably on an empty stomach. You can take it with food. I think it makes probably more sense to spread those 3 tablets out throughout the day, but you can try it different ways and see how you do. And if one does have any questions about our products and our quality and our sourcing, things of that nature, you can call our product information team. We have a whole staff of nutritionists that are able to answer your questions. The number is 888-669-3663. But the nice thing to remember is 888, if you remember that. The 669 is what you would have on a dial on your phone, would be on at least the old-fashioned phones. That'd be spell now, N-O-W, and 3663 would spell foods. So now foods, 888 now foods would get you there, and you press number 5 option when you get a chance, and it'll direct you to our department. We're available Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 Central Time, and there's about a 97% chance you get one of us live to answer your question right then and there. Or if it's after hours or weekends, you can certainly email us any time of the day or night at productinfo@nowfoods.com. And we're glad to help you with various questions that you might have. All right, well, that's it. That wraps it up. So I'll now send it back to Sue.
All right, good presentation. And that is definitely one of the perks that we have at Now Foods, having that nutrition staff on our side and taking questions all during the day. And I think we've talked about this before, Jim, but you probably have 100 years of what's the word? Experience between all of you.
Yeah, it may be close to that by now. Between some of the folks, the men in the picture here, myself, Nick, and Neil, we have probably about 140,
Well,
150
there you
years,
go.
something like that. Yeah, just that. Not mention the ladies that are all younger, of course, than us old guys. But yes, probably is close to 200 years by now if we count everybody in our
Yeah,
department. We have a few new
yeah.
members that are not in this picture, so we're going to have to update this picture sometime.
And a really nice benefit. I know I've called it or emailed to get my own questions answered. So I do appreciate that.
You're
And
welcome.
like I said, great presentation. Kind of in a nutshell, what we learned about the immune system and how it functions. Um, we have a lot of great products that can be used. I know we've had probably in the last 15 to 20 years, the push for vitamin D, right, for the immune system.
Oh, yes. Right.
Yeah,
Big.
which we
Yeah.
never even thought about.
No. Used to think of it just for calcium and bones, but there's so much more
Yeah,
to it.
yeah, that's amazing. And I live in Florida, so I live in the Sunshine State, but I get my vitamin D levels checked every year, and they were quite low. Um, so this is something that medical professionals have just started doing because I think they realize the importance of it. And I was quite low, even though I live in the Sunshine State. Um,
Hmm. Yeah, you're
and
not the
I,
only
so
one.
I,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, and we have sunshine all year round. But so it was interesting to me that, I was low and I did start supplementing and I'm seeing them, you know, rise over time. So
Good.
that's encouraging. That's very
Yeah.
encouraging.
Yes. Well, good.
So,
I'm glad you're a doctor and you got together on that and that you're seeing the results of having vitamin D supplementation.
yeah, and it's kind of things like this, right? That you and I have been doing webinars for how many years?
Oh,
A
too
lot.
many to count.
Yeah,
20-ish or something like that. We'll
I
say
would say
20-ish.
20-ish years. And listening to these webinars, not only do I find some of the products that, I might need, put them on my list, and also to learn that vitamin D is important. And so that kind of prompts me
Hmm.
to start to talk to my doctor about it. So, yeah, so very,
Yeah.
very helpful.
Yeah, a point I'd like to mention about vitamin D, when we are young, we convert more robustly the vitamin D from the sunlight through our skin, through our liver and our kidneys, etc. As we get older, that efficiency declines. So that could also explain why you're thinking, hey, I'm getting sun, but your body might say, well, that's not sufficient. Maybe not. Maybe it's an issue with the conversion not being as
Yeah.
robust as it once was.
Well, and I'm learning too that everything declines as you get older.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
just your vitamin D levels. Oh my goodness. So, yeah, lots of stuff. So, but my husband used to say, "There's nothing graceful about aging." But
Well,
we could try to
I'm
keep a
certainly
positive
I'm
attitude.
trying to. Yeah, I'm trying to
Yep.
age
Yep.
gracefully, but
Yeah,
it takes its toll over time.
it
I
does.
don't
But
I don't
it's
play
all,
I don't play the baseball like I used to.
yeah. Yep. Yep. In your mind, you
I
want
don't play
to,
baseball at all.
but I know sometimes even with my grandkids, I tell my daughter, I'm like, boy, I used to be able to watch them all day, and now it's like, oh my goodness, I can't even keep up anymore. So,
Hmm.
but oh well, I appreciate the time I have with them. So,
Amen. Amen.
all right. Well, thank you again for an excellent presentation. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll be back with you next month. I'm not sure what we're doing next month, but keep your eyes posted on your email, and you will get a notification of what is coming and how to log in. So, all right. Thanks, Jim.
Okay.
And
You're welcome. And thanks
all
for
right.
listening in. Bye-bye.
Mhm. Bye, everybody.